Okay, welcome everyone to the to our March 1st meeting. Sunny day, although it won't last, I guess, but it was a clear night last night, so that's okay. We're holding this meeting on the unceded territory. RASC Halifax Mar respectfully acknowledges that we live and observe on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The RASC believes in and practices inclusivity and diversity. Halifax Center welcomes all with an interest in astronomy without prejudice. As stated by Helen Sawyer-Hogg, the stars belong to everyone. So today's meeting will go like this. Following the welcome and introductions, I'll go through a photo montage. Just remind everyone that Explore the Universe is available. Judy's got a bunch of them in the box, so if anyone wants them. $20, is it, Judy? Yeah.
Class on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Already have some takers. Our special presentation is by Robin Foret. Everything you didn't know, you need to know about national awards. Then we'll have a 15-minute social break, followed by Paul Heath's Food for the Soul. Peter Hurley will give us news from the board. Judy Black will update us on the National Council. And we'll finish with what's up in the March sky. Okay, so we had a few clear nights in February between ice storms. So we got a few pictures to look at. So this is one of the most recent pictures. Jerry Black took this image of the young moon, just over a day and a half old, at Swissair Memorial out Peggy's Cove. That's a hard one to get, but a good horizon there certainly helped. And Jerry also captured this shot of the Cigar Galaxy and Bode's Galaxy. And I believe this was used as the cover photo for the latest issue of Nova Notes. Almost?
The
previous one. Ah, okay. Next one, please. Michael Bochat was busy. This is his shot from the February 2nd conjunction of the moon and Venus. Captured Earthshine nicely. And this is moonset, again from Michael, on February 12th. So the full moon setting. Next, please. And the waning crescent moon from Michael on February 22nd. And hydrogen alpha sun from February 20th. Lots of nice prominences on this, this image. And next. And the crescent Venus from February 20th. So Venus is getting slimmer and slimmer as a crescent. So in a few weeks, it'll be pretty hard to find in the sun's glare. Just remind everyone that Michael takes these pictures from his apartment through a window or from a balcony leaning over with a handheld camera. Next one, please. Dave Chapman captured this image of Venus, the crescent moon, and Saturn. Saturn rather dimmer, just by the tree branch. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Next one, please. And David Chapman also was out last night enjoying clear skies and got the very thin, very young moon in this image.
What lens was that, Dave? It was a Canon, not very expensive zoom, 75 to 250 or something. 250.
Okay, so Paul's asking what the lens was, and Dave says it was a kit lens. Canon kit lens, 75 to 250, yeah. Oh yeah, the kit lens is 50 to 300, I think, yeah.
Best lens match, but if you look carefully, you can actually see the whole disc of the moon. It's illuminated.
Yeah.
That's a nice graph.
Yep. Yep, very nice.
Yeah. Did you check your picture from 2011?
Next, please.
Like it was a.
And another image from Dave Chapman, the waning crescent moon from February 24th. Yeah, just caught it in the trees. Jason Dane has been traveling, so he's not been super busy, but he did grab this image of the Tadpole Nebula, IC 410 in Auriga. Pretty nice. Lots of emission there. And next. And Jason has been doing lots of northern light imaging. Currently, not sure if he's back from Europe right now, but this was the northern lights in Norway on February the 1st. And if you go to Jason's Facebook page, he's got lots of time-lapse videos of northern lights, which are pretty nice. Jeff Donaldson captured this image of the Seagull Nebula, IC 2177. Jeff's just started doing monochrome imaging and taking to it like a duck to water. He's getting lots of really nice images. And this is a very faint planetary nebula in Perseus, Sharpless 216. I think Jeff said he had 24 hours worth of subs for it, something like that. It's really, really faint. Next one, please. Lisa Ann Fanning, again, the Moon-Venus conjunction for February 2nd. And sunspots that I imaged with a white light filter on February 2nd. And a few hours later, I got the waxing crescent moon. Next, please. And the Horsehead Nebula in Orion. Captured this over 3 nights, I think. Next, please.
Reflector.
Yeah, with an 8-inch reflector. Yeah. Hence the star spikes, yeah. And the Cigar Galaxy, again, captured over 3 nights with 8-inch reflector. And just for fun, I used a dual band filter for this one. I thought it might pull out the starburst. I used a dual band filter for this one. So it pulled out the starbursts a little better. Next, please. John McPhee captured the crescent moon in Venus on February 1st. Next. And the daytime waxing gibbous moon on the 8th. So the moon's a nice photographic subject, even in daytime. And waxing gibbous moon and Mars on February 9th, again from John McPhee. And Norman Schneiderman, sunspots on February the 14th with the white light filter. And this was with the Sea Star. It's 50 and
Sea Star, which is, it looks like it's picture is inside a ring. When you see the moon in the sun pictures.
Yeah.
Is that just part or just the way that telescope records, or?
I think you're more, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but I think you're more restricted in parameters you can set with the Sea Star. Yeah, so that's probably the issue, because with the Dwarf 2 and Dwarf 3, you don't see that because you can, yeah, you can adjust the gain and the exposure settings and whether to use. Yeah. No. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. He bought a better white light filter for it. Yeah. And the Pleiades with the Sea Star, starting to pull out some of the nebulosity. And the crescent moon and Venus on February 1st, again from Norman Schneiderman, a very popular subject. One of the few clear nights. And Quinn Smith apologized for the palm trees, but Venus is hiding. I think he's somewhere warmer than England. Yeah. Yeah, and the last image, I just saw this morning. I thought I'd include it. Troy Sweeney captured this image of meteor crater from 37,000 feet. So now he should have been, I hope his co-pilot was paying attention to flying while he was lining up the shot. But and I believe, yeah. Yep.
Missed the visitor center.
And I believe that's it for our photos from the month of February.
David, possible for the people to submit these to also submit sort of like what camera it was and what speed and all that sort of thing?
People aren't actually submitting. I'm pulling these off of the Facebook page and the discussion group. But yeah, well, Tony's asking if people could, when they post these images, could give some information on instrument used, camera, and so on.
Well, that's me personally, because I'm always curious about, okay, how did they get that shot?
Yeah. Okay.
Mike does it on a regular basis, so I think he's about the only one.
Yeah. Jeff does sometimes. But that's about it. Yeah, it's a good idea. So if you're listening and you're posting, give us a little more information. Okay, so now Judy Black is going to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Robin Foret. I met Robin back in 2018, I believe, at the General Assembly when it was hosted in Calgary. My first encounter with him was him wearing a cowboy hat and the group of fellows that he did a Stampede breakfast with at the Stampede actually provided a Stampede breakfast at the GA. So that was my first encounter. My second encounter was when he was president of the RASC, and he was my co-chair, or I was his co-chair, whatever, of the National Council. Robin has been a member for 25 years within the RASC. He's a member of Calgary Centre. And as you can appreciate, over those years, he's held many positions in both the society as well as his own centre. He's an editor of the annual report, so that when we send our annual reports, it's to him. Robin, you'll be getting mine later today. He's also the project manager of the Night Sky Almanac that you see that's for sale now at, I think, 30% off as of this morning when I went in to look. And he's the current president of Calgary Centre. So I figured at the time when I contacted him to do this talk, he was the chair of the awards committee, and I figured who better to address this. So I said, would you be willing to address the RASC Awards? Because I'm sure there are many members that don't know what they are, what they entail, why are they, and how do they apply and consider someone to nominate. So in asking him for a descriptor of a talk, he said, everything you didn't know you need to know about national awards. So I'm going to let him describe what we need to know about national awards that we don't know. So Robin, take it away.
Thank you, Judy. But while you bring it up, I have to comment on your photos. Amazing. And Michael, my goodness, all of those shots through your apartment that have been coming for years and years. I love it. I love that you're still doing that. What came to my mind when I was looking at those images, especially the ones of Venus and the moon and Mars and the moon and whatnot, they could have come from James and the group at the Regina Center. They could have come from the Calgary Center. They could have come from any center across the country. And it really struck me at how those common events in the night sky tie us together. It's, I mean, we saw similar images from our local folks here and from others across the country. It's amazing. It's nice to see. Okay, I'll give you a teaser about my background. That is sunset on Haleakala, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was it's at the top of Haleakala in the island of Maui, And it's a popular spot. A lot of people try to get up there to see sunrise, and it's gotten so busy that you have to register to get up there, because the parking lot, of course, is limited and they can only accommodate so many people. So what we discovered, that sunset is less crowded, it's just as beautiful, and of course, right after sunset, what do? You get an incredible night sky at 10,000 feet above sea level. And in this particular trip, we were there to see a lunar eclipse, and the moon rose above the Pacific Ocean. There we go. In a partial eclipse in the from the top of the mountain. And the interesting thing was, in looking at the photo awards that came through later in the year, there was another RASC member that submitted an image of that eclipsing moon rising above the Pacific from the same mountaintop I was on, but we didn't know that we were both at the same place. But quite an interesting coincidence. All right, okay. Well, let me jump in. Hopefully I filled the gap a little bit there for you. Judy, thank you for the opportunity to present at the Halifax Center. I'm from Sydney, Nova Scotia, and I didn't become an RASC member until living in Calgary for a while, and my wife, who knew my love of astronomy, got me a membership in the society in 1999, and it's gone nuts since then. So I'm currently the president of the Calgary Center. I'm a former president of the society, and that was a great deal of fun. James Edgar, who I see is on the call, was president when I joined the board, and I spent 8 years on the board. I mentioned my current project here just because a lot of us tend to get involved in different things in astronomy, and this one I'm excited about. It's the Ralph Klein Park Public Observatory. And it's interesting, nobody thinks of our old premier Ralph Klein as a science guy, but he actually was the mayor of Calgary and inaugurated the opening of our club observatory at Wilson Cooley. So it's kind of poignant that we're building a public observatory on a park that was named for him. It's a relatively unused park in the southeast corner of Calgary, and we're hoping to start construction late this year, early next year. It's a wetland, so we have to work around the biological constraints of mating seasons and nesting seasons and whatnot. But that's a fun project I've been at for a few years now. As I mentioned, I was society president from 2020 to 2022. And relative to awards, you'll see that the board of directors that I was part of for 8 years and the president plays a role in that. I was a recipient of a service award in 2019 and a recipient of a fellowship award in 2024. So it's an honor to get any award from the society or even our centers. And today what I hope to do is give you a little bit of insight into the awards that we offer, some of the history behind them, and the criteria, etc. This is all, it's information that's available to everyone. And what I really liked about putting this together at Judy's request was it forced me to really look at things, and it's giving me an opportunity to share with you the details around these awards and the significance of them. So the major awards that we offer as a society to our members is the Chant Medal, the Fellowship Award, the Ken Chilton Prize, the President's Award, the Keelak Award, the Service Award. We introduced the new Young Astronomers Award, and we have the Simon Newcomb Award. There's also an academic award that I'll mention at the end that's awarded by the society. The awards committee, when we submit nominations as members, we submit them to the awards committee. And the awards committee, the past president is the chair of that committee. It also, we also have Randy Bodum from Belleville on that committee, and Nicole Mortellero on that committee, and they've been on that committee for a number of years. Michael Watson as president is ex officio on the committee, as he is on all committees, as is Jenna Hines, our executive director. And I just thought I mean, we've seen the term ex officio. I thought I'd just make a note that that means that you become a member of the body by virtue of holding another office. So it's stated in, it's no longer a bylaw, it's in our policy manual, but our policy manual defines the structure of our committees. And you'll find in the policy manual that our president and our executive director are ex officio on all standing committees of the society. The process, as members nominate fellow members for awards, the awards committee evaluates that and makes those recommendations to the board of directors as a committee motion. So the awards committee, which is the past president, and of course, because I was president, I was past president and played a chair person role on the committee. As that committee submits the recommendations to the board, and then the board of directors votes on those on that committee motion, and on those potential recipients for the award. So that's the only credibility I have in presenting this, is that I played a role over an 8-year, 9-year period on the board as president and as past president, which was the chair of this particular committee. Okay, well, that was just a little context for the awards piece. So the first medal I wanted to talk about is the Chant Medal, and that was established in 1940. Chant was an astronomer and lecturer at the University of Toronto, and he helped found the David Dunlap Observatory in 1935. In 1892, he joined the Astronomical and Physical Society of Toronto, which became the RASC in 1902, and he was president of the RASC from 1904 to 1907. Sorry. It's awarded not more than once a year to an amateur astronomer resident in Canada on the basis of the value of the work carried out in astronomy or allied fields, and specifically not for the services of the society. Now, that's interesting. I thought, how do we understand what it takes to get the Chant Medal, and who might you consider in your center, as example, as a possible recipient of this medal? So, sorry, this is a bit of an eye chart, but it's the citation and the nomination of Warren Finley, who is the latest recipient of the Chant Medal, nominated by Douglas Hube and Alistair Ling in the Edmonton Center. So I'll just point out a couple of bullets in here, but Warren's achievements in astronomy over the last 25 years, the nominees consider him one of the most accomplished amateur astronomers in the country. He completed observing the Herschel 2500 list in 2023. Clearly, it's 2,500 objects. It's the 2,500 list. It took him 22 years to do that. And he's observed more than 3,300 NGC objects and more than 500 supernova, comets, and other deep sky objects. And in 2022, he created the brightest 2,500 Northern NGC list. He invented something called a bimarathon, which I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of you that have probably gone through some of the deep sky programs that we have at the RASC. But he observed the 110 Messier objects and ran a regular marathon between sunset and sunrise on a single night. I presume not at the same time. But during that evening, he ran a marathon and did the Messier marathon, which is I can't imagine the logistics of that. So he completed the Messier bi-marathon by star hopping with a 10-inch Dobsonian and binoculars, and he repeated it in Australia with the southern deep sky objects. He invented something called the Herschel marathon, which is observing 110 Herschel objects in a single night. He is the author of a book called The Concise Catalog of Deep Sky Objects, Astrophysical Information for 550 Galaxies, Clusters, and Nebula. He co-authored with Douglas Hube the bi-monthly Deep Sky Contemplations column in the journal. In 2004, he founded the Northern Prairie Sky Party, et cetera, et cetera. You can see that nominees for the Chant Medal have made a significant contribution in our field. And I wanted to point out this particular citation just because It reflects the kind of work that the society is recognizing for that Chant Medal. If we look at some of the recent recipients, we've got, let's see, 31 recipients in 84 years for the Chant Medal. And recently, we've got from the Halifax Centre, Dr. Roy Bishop is there, Dave Lane is there, Mary Lou Whitehorn is there. And it was interesting. I wanted to look at Dave Lane's citation for the award and share that one. But you'll find that when you look at these awards on our website, some of them have the citation and some of them refer to a particular journal where that citation is published. And Dave Lane's in 1996 was published in the journal, so it's the citation is not on our website. And our electronic versions of the journal go back to 1998. So I couldn't pull Dave, so I grabbed the most recent one instead. And of course, James Edgar, who's on here and is the editor of the journal, or has been involved with the journal, he could probably help me find where that might be, but that's for another day. Okay, the next award I wanted to talk about is the Fellowship Award, and this was developed by the Nominations and Awards Committee in 2013. It was created to acknowledge the work of long-serving members, recognizing members who've made an extraordinary contribution to the society over a long term, with much of that contribution at the national level. It's considered to be a major and senior national award, and it's intended to be the society's most senior award and the highest honor that the society can pay to a member. The candidate's service and contributions to the society must have had a significant positive impact on the work of the society over an extended period, and must have contributed to the society's success in attaining its stated objectives, mission, and vision. The contributions can be at the center level and the national level, but at least half of the service contribution must be rendered at the national level. So these criteria are really important for that nominating committee to make sure that the members that are nominated meet fully the criteria specified. Again, if we look at the 17 recipients since 2013, the Halifax Centre, Roy Bishop, Dave Lane, Mary Lou Whitehorn, Patrick Kelly, Dave Chapman have all been recipients of this particular award. So the Halifax Centre has been both a strong contributor to the society and also a wonderful center for nominating and recognizing the efforts of its members. There are some centers that you don't see represented, and it's not necessarily because people haven't been doing good work or making significant contributions, but their fellow members who may see this work being done aren't necessarily putting their names forward. So they become unknowns to the rest of us. So good on the Halifax Centre. You guys have done a great job of recognizing the efforts of your peers and fellow members. The next one is the Ken Chilton Prize, and this is named after Ken Chilton of the Hamilton Centre. He was active for more than 10 years and received the Service Award in 1976. This was first awarded in 1978 to Jack Newton, and it's awarded annually to an amateur astronomer in recognition of a significant piece of astronomical work carried out or published recently. So this one's interesting. When we look at the recipients, from the 1900s, there were 10 recipients, including Paul Gray and Dave Lane in 1995 and Heather Cameron in 1997. And then in the 2000s, we had 21 recipients, including Michael Beauchat, who's on the call today. And then in the 2010s, we had 16 recipients, including from the Halifax Centre, Dave Lane, Nathan Gray, and Catherine Gray. I think I remember that was a supernova or something, if I'm not mistaken. And then there were 3 recipients from the 20s. One of whom is Chris Gaynor, who was the president prior to my term, and he won that award for his publication on the Hubble Space Telescope, Not Yet Imagined. And that was a publication that Chris authored under contract with NASA. And he made that available to the entire membership as in a PDF form. Any questions or comments from the group so far? Okay. President's Award. This one was established in 2008 and it was first awarded in 2010. It is to be given at the president's discretion. It's usually once a year to a member who's made an important contribution to the society. It's presented by the president either at the General Assembly or during a visit by the president to that home center of the recipient. That doesn't happen a lot since COVID. But if we look at some of the recipients here, let me see. We've got Dave Lane again in 2013. I'm looking to see what other Judy Black in 2023 was a recipient of the President's Award. And you can see what I've added in this particular slide is the rationale behind the award. So Sid Sidhu was involved in the International Year of Astronomy. Mayor Chalaban, who was our treasurer, was awarded for his financial service. Randall as our archivist, Dave Lane for the software he created, Rob Dick for light pollution abatement, Walter McDonald as our webmaster, Terrence Dickinson promoting Canadian astronomy, Dave Garner for publications, Rick Huziak again for light pollution abatement, Michael Watson for society governance in 2019, Barry Shanko for public outreach, Renata Cozio. That was during my term, and I had the great honor of recognizing the work that Renata did as our office manager for a long, long time. And then in 2022, Emily Laflèche, who was the inaugural chair of the youth committee of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. And I got to award that one to Emily as well as a president at the time. And keep an eye on her. I think she'll be the first woman on Mars. And then Judy Black for taking on that chair role of National Council and making it meaningful. National Council, if you recall, we were forced by the Canada Revenue Agency to change the structure of our organization and how it was governed. And now we used to be an organization run by a national council that would elect executives from within that national council, and we changed from that to a governing board. And national council has struggled for a number of years in finding us a real purpose, and Judy's been a significant player in giving national council a strong voice in the society again. And then in 2024, Randy Atwood was awarded the President's Award for taking on that interim executive director role after some difficult times for the society. Keelak Award. This was an interesting one. It was developed by the International Year of Astronomy in 2010 by a group called the Beyond International Year of Astronomy. And that consisted of the RASC and CASCA and the FAAQ. And I got to participate there because at the time I was chair of the Education Public Outreach Committee of the Society. And we got involved after IYA to form this BIYA to continue the momentum of the International Year of Astronomy within the Society. From that came the Keelak Award. So it's an Inuit word meaning the entire sky, the celestial sphere, and all that it contains. And it's intended to recognize individual residents or teams of residents who've made an outstanding contribution during a particular time period, either to the public understanding and appreciation of astronomy or to informal astronomy education in Canada, and to promote activities among the members of the sponsoring organizations. Now you notice in here, it doesn't say anything about member, and I'll point that out in a few minutes. it says that a nominee or a team of nominees must be a member or members of one of the sponsoring organizations. And each of those will offer not more than one award each year, and they don't necessarily order one every year. So you're going to see in this next slide that we've had years where, and the way this plays out on this particular chart, you've got the RASC award, the CASCA award, and the FAAQ award. It was interesting in 2023 where Wilfred Buck was a member of the RASC, but not a member of CASCA, and CASCA really wanted to recognize the work that Wilfred Buck was doing. And the National Film Board has actually made a National Film Board film around Wilfred Buck, and we're showing that as our October general meeting. It's available at no cost to the centers across the country. Sorry, that's a bit of an aside here. But if the Halifax Center is interested in viewing that or showing it at one of your general meetings, reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with the NFB. I think their only criteria is you have to make it available to the public at no cost. But back to the awards part, you can see here that we have award winners from each of the organizations most years, but not every year. So for example, in 2017, the FAQ didn't have a oh no, they did. Sorry. In 2023, it was not awarded by FAQ. In 2022, in 2021, the RASC did not award the KELAC. So that's an interesting one. I know the Halifax Center in 2017, Paul Heath was recognized there. It's a significant one. Tony Schelling as well in 2024. It's a significant one for public outreach, and when we consider how important public outreach is to our local centers and to our society as a whole, when you think of those pillars that we focus on, service to members, service to the public, service to the scientific community, this is one of the foundational pillars that we're recognizing with KELAC. The next one is the Service Award, and this was instituted in 1959. It is considered to be a major award of the society, and is given in recognition of outstanding service over an extended period of time. And you'll see that there's a 10-year minimum membership period before someone is eligible for that particular one. So you have to be a member in good standing. You must have rendered substantial service of a well-defined nature to the society and a center over a period of at least 10 years of service. And it should have a major constructive impact and would involve a very substantial and continued commitment on the part of the nominee. So it's something that we tend to award every year, and we've had 183 recipients to date. And there's a lot of Halifax Center members that have been recipients of the Service Award. I didn't put a chart together for that one because it would have been a lot. We had a new award too, called the Young Astronomers Award, and we established that one in 2023. It was awarded to youth members who've made significant contributions at either the national or center levels. And Artash and Arushi Nath have been the only recipients to date. And I know that there were young members of the Halifax Center that have gotten other awards in the past, but this is something that we can use to encourage our youth members or encourage youth to join our organization. I know that with the National Science Fair, there was a winner from Halifax that, as part of the award, he was given a membership in the Halifax Center. I don't know if he's been able to fully make use of that, but it's something that we're hoping will encourage youth to join the organization and to participate more. I put this one last on purpose, the Simon Newcomb Award, because it was created in 1978 by the National Council on the initiative of the Halifax Center. It's named in honor of Simon Newcomb, who was born in Nova Scotia and then served for 20 years as a superintendent of the American Ephemeris and Nautical Almanac Office at the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington. It's intended to encourage members of the RASC to write on the topic of astronomy for the society or for the general public, and to recognize the best published works through an annual award. So that eligible entry should be a recently published piece of writing with an astronomical theme. It can be a book or a portion of a book, an article in the journal, a center newsletter, or another RASC publication. So it's interesting. There's a lot of different places that we publish and we write articles for. It's something to keep in mind. We've had 25 recipients to date. And if we look here, you can see John Reed. I don't have to tell you why John Reed's on the list. Martin Helmick and Hallie Davies from Halifax are here. Mary Lou Whitehorn again. Mary Lou's been so active. I don't know if she's on or in the meeting today, but she was she recruited me, darn it, into that education public outreach role. And then of course it got crazy from there. Dave Chapman's here, of course. Again, no need to wonder why Dave is there. The contribution some of these people have made to the society and continue to make the society is just outstanding. And William Callan, that's not a name I'm familiar with, but again, from the outset of this particular award. There's one more award. It's called the Plaskett Medal, and it's an academic achievement award. It was first presented in May 1988. It is sponsored by the RASC and CASCA, which is the Canadian Astronomical Society. It is awarded annually to a graduate from a Canadian university who has been judged to have submitted the most outstanding doctoral thesis in the preceding 2 years. It's named for John Stanley Plaskett, 1865 to 1941, and he helped confirm the rotation rate of the Milky Way and an active member of the Ottawa Centre between 1907 and 1918, and was an associate editor of the journal for 28 years. This evolved from what used to be called the Society's Gold Medal, which is now awarded exclusively by the Toronto Centre to a U of T student. So if we look at the recipients here, they're all PhDs, of course, and you can see the universities that they attended. As a joint award, and this was more prevalent when we were doing general assemblies where we would come together in a particular center or city to host that general assembly. The Plaskett Award winner was invited to speak in alternating years with CASCA at their general assembly, and then the following year at the RASC at their general assembly. I know we hosted the Plaskett Medal winner at the 2018 General Assembly here in Calgary. So in 2019, it would have gone to CASCA. In 2020, it would have been back at the RASC, etc. And those are the major awards, and everything you didn't know you needed to know about awards. So let me thank you for giving me some time with you today, and I'll open the floor for questions if that's appropriate. I'll stop sharing.
We do have a question, Robin. Dave?
Okay.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Not really a question. I wanted to make a remark on something you said. You mentioned about how successful Halifax Centre has been at nominating people for awards, and I was thinking about that, and like many reasons for the success of the Halifax Centre, all the roads point back to Roy Bishop. Roy Bishop, I mean, the Halifax Centre had two births. There was an early Halifax Centre, and then there was a rebirth after it collapsed. And Roy was instrumental in revitalizing the center, I think in 1970, maybe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for all of the people that you mentioned, Roy has been our #1 mentor, and we basically just follow in his footsteps.
Mhm.
And he was always very good about recognizing people's achievements, and so you can blame Roy.
I, thank you for bringing that up, Dave, because I've had the pleasure of meeting Roy at general assemblies when we were doing those things
Yeah.
in person, and um, so much of what we do is, I'll say, is on the backs of giants, and Roy was yours. It's just
Yeah.
it's amazing how that legacy um, continues through new members.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on about Roy. The other thing I wanted to say was you brought up something that I have often mentioned, and I often have conversations with people, and they say, "Well, so and so got such and such an award. Well, how come Jill Blow over there didn't get like?
Yeah.
How come they didn't get an award?" And I said, "Well, you need two things to get an award. One is you have to have somebody that's worthy, and the second thing is you need to have somebody who's willing to do the work, or a team of people that are willing to do the work to make the case.
Yep.
You need those two things. It's not good enough to be worthy. You need to have people that are willing to make the case."
Yeah, and
And
articulate that case so that
yeah,
nominating committee and the
and
rest of the members.
having done this myself a lot in the RASC and other societies, I think there's a kind of I think people sometimes feel a bit intimidated about writing awards,
Mhm.
writing cases for awards. So like I feel like they're as well as people making announcements that the awards are available. I think there may be some thought given to perhaps some kind of tutoring, or some kind of assistance to people who want to make a case, and but they
Mhm.
just don't know how to get started because there's a
Right.
few pointers. So
Yeah.
that's something it's not in your domain anymore, but it's maybe something that the RASC could
Yeah.
consider, is adding to the awards page, you know, like a little essay, how to make a case, or how do
To make
how
a
do you make
nomination.
a nomination. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
because I think people are intimidated by that. It's not that hard.
It's not
Just
too
think,
bad, and honestly, my the first thing that when I think of someone who would be a candidate for an award, the first thing I wanna do is look at citations from previous award winners to give me an
yes,
idea of what's the framework, what does it look like, what are some of the things that others are highlighting, and I use that one example of the Chant Medal. It's extensive, to your point. There's a lot of work to put together that nomination. And honestly, I think I remember the nomination from the Halifax Center when I was on the awards committee, and it was extensive. It was probably 2 or 3 pages of contextual information as to why this person was a great candidate for that award. But you have
okay,
to
thanks, Robin.
thank you, Dave. Much appreciated. And thanks for all your work. I hope I think we're running out of awards that we can give to Dave, but it's it
Yeah.
it's it's worthwhile, and you're certainly worthy of all of the things that have come your way, Dave. You've been an amazing contributor and continue to be. Hi, Judy.
Hi there. Yeah, when you were talking about the length of an award, I remember getting a comment when we nominated Tony Schelling for the KELAC that it was the longest nomination that the awards committee had ever received. I'm sorry, I'm going to
But
turn around.
I think you had them on page 1, Judy.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for doing this today, Robin. Very much appreciated.
My pleasure.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Can you hear Paul?
Can I help here?
I don't know. Can you hear him in Zoom land?
Danielle, can you hear me?
No.
No.
Here you go, sir.
Hey, Robin, it's Paul Gray here. How you doing?
I'm well, Paul. Nice to see you.
Good. Question. I was hoping you'd go back to the slide about the Young Astronomers Award, if possible. I was wondering, I guess, kind of what that's defined for. I mean, we know it's for the youth, but I was wondering if there's been any thought given to when nominations for that come forward, do people look at those nominations from a larger lens as to should this be a Young Astronomers Award or would this better fit in the Chilton Prize? Because I know a lot of the stuff that the science fair students are doing at that national level
Mhm.
are research or work that is very original and is probably significant enough to be recognized as a significant piece of work in that previous year. So I was wondering if there's anything going on in the background with the committee to note that sometimes these awards come in as one, but might better fit in another.
Right.
Thank
And honestly, that's a really good point because I participated. I've been representing the society with the Canada-wide Science Fair for a number of years now, since I was the Education and Public Outreach Committee chair, and have had the opportunity to participate as a judge on the national the Canada-wide Science Fair. And you're right, some of those kids that are, in that junior high school level, they're doing original work and they would qualify for Chant. I don't think anyone's ever said that out loud before, Paul. That's a great thought. With that said, this particular award was created because we had a couple of members that really stood out, and the society wanted to recognize them and didn't see the Chant as an option and came up with a new award. But I mean, if you've got an active youth group, that's the best way to get the committee's attention is to make a nomination. Really good point, though. I had not. I mean, the young person that won the science fair, I think 2 years in a row, from the Halifax area, clearly would have qualified for the Chant. He was, I think he was a grade 10 student working on the CubeSat with some of the folks at it was either Dalhousie or St. Mary's.
Dalhousie.
Dalhousie, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Really good point. And I don't think anyone's considered that, Paul.
Okay, well, any other questions before I? You sure? Any questions from Zoomland?
There is a point, can you hear me? For Robin, that James Edgar commented that his records go back to February 1998. Michelle Bass at the Society office may be able to help because she has all the hard copies of the journal. I thought you might also find what you seek from NASA EDS, but I just looked and no joint.
Okay.
I couldn't hear that, Judy. If there's something that is if there's a
Oh.
question in there.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. So you look at the chat, just as commenting on that.
Thanks so much again, Robin, for spending some time with us today. If you could hang in just a little longer.
Absolutely.
You heard James talk about all the various awards, and I went to, the good things come to those who wait. I figured, okay, who said that? Well, it was a female Victorian poet who said, quote, the real quote was, good things come to those who wait. And I figured, lovely. Well, this is something, when awards we have nominations for awards, we look at the long-term service that some of our members have given us. And when you look at the highest award, the Fellowship Award, it's a long-term, person has to do much both here at the center and certainly at the national level as well. And to quote Robin and what he read is the Fellow of the RASC, and I have to use my glasses because I didn't print this large enough, is intended to be the Society's most senior award and the highest honor the Society can pay to a member. The service and contributions to the Society must have had a significant positive impact on the work of the Society over an extended period beyond that of the Service Award, and they must have contributed to the Society's success in attaining its stated objectives, mission, and vision. So, at the National Board of Directors meeting this past week, the board unanimously approved the nomination for the Fellowship of the RASC sent from me, 4 fellows of the RASC, namely Mary Lou Whitehorn, James Edgar, Pat Kelly and Dave Chapman, and all my fellow board members who I will say also voted unanimously for this nomination to go forward. The official announcement will come later, at a later date by the National Board, but they did agree that we could make the announcement unofficially here at our meeting today. And it's about one of our members who's about to become one of the fellows of the national organization, a designation well-deserved and long time coming. So here's the good thing. I have the great honor to introduce you to the newest fellow of the RASC, Paul Gray. Paul? Now, Paul has been a member of the RASC since he was 15, so a few years. And he served throughout his RASC career at both national and central levels in various capacities. I mean, I do have a list here. He also served in New Brunswick Center in various capacities, but for our own center, he's been a director, a president, a vice president. He's been a Nova East Star Party chair and committee member. He's been a speaker at that event, Dark Sky Weekend volunteer, contributor to Nova Notes, and regarding our very own St. Croix Observatory, he drafted the site plan in 1996 and was involved in the building of it in the subsequent year and following year. And he's always been there for maintenance and improvements. In fact, he even installed the 4 chairs that are now there for Adirondack chairs. That's the word I was looking for. He has received RASC's awards. He has received the Service Award back in 2016, and he's received 3 Observing Awards, certificates. Messier, the finest NGCs and Explore the Universe. He's been a contributor, and this one blew me out of the water. He's been a contributor to the RASC Observer's Handbook. Since 2004, he has contributed the article Dark Nebulae. That's 22 editions of the OH. So well done. He was certainly the RASC calendar editor for 10 years. So is it deserved? I think so. And I'm going to read to you, Paul, the summary of our nomination for you. For almost 4 decades, Paul has been an educator to many RASC members and non-members, a mentor to youth interested in astronomy and to novice amateur astronomers, and a firm believer in the goals and missions of the RASC. Instead of promoting just the better-known aspects of astronomy, he chose to focus on meteors and meteor showers, planets, and dark nebula, to have an oh wow moment watching a fireworks-like display to observe changing planetary appearance through the seasons and their moons, and the latter to inspire members to look for, to understand, and to be in awe of those supposed empty spaces in our night skies. We, the undersigned, nominate Paul Gray for the designation Fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and the Halifax RASC Centre is very proud to have him as one of our members. Congratulations, Paul. Here's the copy of the nomination for you. You will get something more official from National, but we wanted to make sure that you were here, and your lovely wife was in cahoots with us for this, so.
We need to do a photo op.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you
Oh.
very much.
Right there.
Oh, more pictures.
One more, yes, more pictures. Oh, I like. There you go, sir.
Don't walk away.
Okay. Congratulations. You want to say something?
I should.
Yes.
Thank you. Wow. I don't know what to say other than thank you. Peanut gallery up there. No, thank you, Judy, to all the fellows, to the center. Yeah, this isn't about what I've done. It's about the center, what the center has done. I have accomplished what I've accomplished because of mentors like Roy Bishop, Dave Chapman, Mary Lou Whitehorn, late Dave Lane. James Edgar, I know you're out there. Thank you too. Nationally, there's been mentors as well. James Edgar, for example, numerous times have taken me under his wing. Peter Jedicke, London. God, my first GA was 1993. The first one I got to really know Peter was 95, and ever since then, I've been voting. I think abstaining from votes for a long time. But yeah, the Halifax Center is truly amazing in that the mentorship here and the friendship here allows us to flourish both as a group and individuals. So thank you all for supporting this and for the recognition. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So on that note, I think we break at this point for 15 minutes.
We're good? Okay, break's over. Hope you had a good one. And now we'll have Paul Heath give us his reading on Pencil Awakes. Can you hear me? Because the green light's not on. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now this one basically is the only awards I participated in is the observing awards. So I did get the Queelik Award, but when I heard the topic awards, all I was thinking of was observing awards. I'd forgotten about all these other awards, so it was nice to. So the poem's sort of directed towards the observing awards. But pencil awaits. He stood, the darkening sky previewed. Moving, set his glass for time's encounter. A binder upon his small table did lay. They met with pale dust folding into night, like apparitions glimmering points of wonder appeared to sight. Assorted glass amongst the eager crowd arrayed, small tables alongside set with viewing aids. Eyes uplifted, to glimmering jewels their names declared, a map of treasures past, new seeking eyes, wonder search, directing to each standing glass. Lessons of viewing and seeking taught, new eyes widened at wonder sight. With eyes alone, then handheld glass. Then to standing glass, awe filled new eyes, unnamed hunger. He stood, between each new eyes viewing, to look with hope to time's encounters waiting, a small shift to his glass and table make. With first eyes viewing tests complete, awe and wonder wide smiles to faces leap, many their phones an image rush to keep. Questions rising, laughter, words of awe, amongst the station glass did abound, as new questing eyes new wonder sought. As the new-eyed crowd with reluctance departed, dispersed, those trapped by wonder, serious questions to glass keepers came, the journey unnamed their souls had claimed. With the last skyward sweep, a last table shift, he stood, a new viewing eye he placed and swung his glass to time's appointed hour. His chair set, his eyes to view did bend. Slight the adjustments made, and then with knowing nod, the binder, a blank page arrayed. A sleeve of pencils forth he pulled, and from glass to page his eyes he swung. With care, a duplicate of vision's glass held sight, upon the blank page he drew.
until with a quiet smile he claimed it true. He stood a last look to glimmering lights above, then bending to the binder's first page did turn, drawing a thick pencil from the sleeve upon the last blank line, a wide check mark he laid. So getting your last, I've done that twice now, getting my last observing at a public event. So, thanks. Just one other thing I'd like to add for my own, like, pat myself on the back. But anyway, my third book is out, my second collection of astronomy poems, Food for Thought, Food for the, Food for the Soul, more Stargazer poems. It's on Amazon Books. Oh, yeah, you need this. Okay.
Photograph the yes, outreach event this past month.
Oh, cool.
Background.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to have news from the board. Peter?
Okay, so I get the pleasure of presenting the update for the board this month. And just to follow up on Robin's presentation, there's the list of RASC awards, and you can find details on the RASC national webpage about those. And just as a reminder, the deadline for submission of nominations for 2026 awards is December 31st, 2025. And anyone who wishes to nominate someone for an award, could you please contact a member of the center board for help with drafting up the submission? There's a fair amount of experience on the board now.
It says young and stronger. Is that anyone under 50?
We can send that to Robin as a question. I don't know the answer.
It narrows down who we could actually nominate depending on what the age is.
Anything that brings the average down.
Okay, next. Just a reminder, the January-February edition of Nova Notes has been posted. It's a whopping 41 pages again. Big thank you to our editors, Lisa Ann Fanning and John McPhee. And I would encourage you to all check it out. Some of the highlights in this edition include the cover photo is an astro image of M81 and M82 taken by Jerry Black. There's an article about asteroids with a Nova Scotia connection by Roy Bishop and Judy Black. There's an article about Mare Nubium by David Hoskin. And David, is that a serial? You're doing one per issue? Okay. Members Universe featuring astro images by David Hoskin and Food for the Soul. Paul's poems are published there. Minutes from our January and February members meetings are also published there. In this issue, all of the reports from the AGM in December are presented, and the auditor's report that we received in January.
Just a word on that. Did we vote on that auditor's report yet?
The board approved it.
The board, I wasn't sure if we had to do it here.
Because we received in January, the board approved it.
So there was a question whether the membership had approved the auditor's report, and the answer is that because it wasn't presented before the AGM, it was just the board that approved it, and it has been submitted to RJSC at the moment, I believe. Okay, this was a reminder from National Office that the RASC Observers Calendar, they're looking for admissions, and they've reminded us that they haven't received any submissions from any of the maritime centers at the moment, so there's just a reminder to us. The submission deadline is March 15th, 2025. So that's in a couple weeks' time. So just a reminder, there's a limit of 5 photos per photographer. They want to see a JPEG format initially, but eventually that they'll want a TIFF image. If your image is selected, sketches are welcome. And you can find more details on the National RASC website.
Peter, I'm going to stress that this center has phenomenal astro imagers. So I strongly encourage center astro imagers to please submit to the calendar.
You know, I haven't kept track, but we have a pretty good track record of having at least one image in the calendar every year. Just a couple of
Site, but question, the sketches, do they have to be in the same time period? Made in,
I would assume so, Tony.
so my own sketches cannot be submitted. That's unfair.
you just have to touch them up.
Redraw them. How's that?
Yeah, just touch it up. Okay, a couple of reminders of important dates. Put them in the calendar. The Nova East Star Party is returning to Smiley's Provincial Park this year. Dates are August 22nd to 25th. Note that there's a new moon on August 23rd. All are welcome. You can find more details again on our center website. Planning is underway, and there was a Zoom meeting this past week to get a better idea of what activities and events folks would like to see. You can watch a recording of that Zoom session on our center YouTube channel. The organizing committee is asking that anyone interested in providing input to stay for a short session, stay in the room here after the meeting for a short session to discuss this again. I assume, Jerry, we're going to leave Zoom open if anyone in Zoom wants to participate. Okay. The other big event is the Kejimkujik Dark Sky Weekend, scheduled for August 15th through the 18th. The organizers are Tony Schellink and myself, and please let either of us know if you're interested in participating. We'll send more details out on the both on the website and through the announced list. School observing nights. I assume nobody went out last night. A lot of us were busy chasing other targets, and I know the weather forecast looked pretty crappy. Tony is away, Tony McGrath. He's our school manager at the moment, but I didn't cancel. The only issue being that if a non-key holder, does go out. So if you're interested in going after SCO and you're not a key holder, please contact Tony McGrath or just post onto the discussion list that you're interested in going, and we'll make sure that there'll be a key holder available. We have organized observing sessions, usually the Friday night closest to the new moon. The dates are published on the center website. We haven't had great success with the weather lately, like I said. We are discussing other dates and events. Perhaps the first quarter moon, maybe we'll try Explore the Universe or Explore the Moon sessions. If anybody's interested, just send a note to David Hoskin, observing chair, Tony McGrath, SCO manager, or just any of the board members. Yeah. Other dates to remind you of: the next center board meeting is scheduled for April 1st. That's the board meeting. Board meetings are held using Zoom, usually on the first Tuesday of the month. There is still a vacancy on the board. of directors. If you're interested in becoming a board member, please mention it to any of our board members. And if you'd like to get an idea of what board meetings are like before jumping in, then contact a board member and we'll arrange to get you an invite to a Zoom meeting, to a Zoom session, just so you can see what we do. The next center members meeting, which are open to the public, scheduled for April 5th. Our guest speaker is David Turner, speaking about the meteor crater near Indian Point on Mahone Bay. David tells us that he will bring some samples. The last thing is an update on the Dave Lane Memorial St. Croix Observatory Property Endowment Fund, or SCOPE. For those of you that might not know, our friend and colleague. So Dave was very much a member of the development, or a part of the development of SCO. His wife, Michelle, announced at our meeting last December that she was creating SCOPE, the Dave Lane Memorial SCO Endowment Fund, with a donation of $10,000. She has also announced that she would provide an additional $5,000 in matching funding for a fundraising campaign this year. And our member, Tony Schelling, has stepped forward with an additional $5,000. So we now have $10,000 of matching funds in SCOPE. Huge thank you to both Michelle and to Tony. Donations can be made by making an e-transfer to the center treasurer. You can find more details about that on the center website. And Judy, are we accepting checks? Did you ask? Okay. So if you don't pay things by e-transfers, we can figure out something with a check. Last I heard, we already had almost $2,000 on donations, so keep things coming. We've been working with Atlantic Photo Supply to work out the final details of a sale of astro images as well to raise funds. We'll have details announced soon. Might be after the next board meeting on April 1st, yeah, that's all the news. Are there any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have Judy Black giving the National Council update.
Okay. National Council. For those members who don't know what it is, I believe Robin gave you sort of a brief descriptor in how its role has changed over the last, well, since 2012, when the society changed how it was doing business. Excuse me. The council comprises representatives from every center across the country. So that's 30 centers. There are about 46 members, I believe, because the council still retains its membership such that for every 200 members that a center has, you have one rep. So if for some reason Halifax gets this huge influx and we get 201, we would then have 2 representatives to the National Council. I've had the honor of representing this center since 2020, I believe, and I've been the chair for the last 4 on the National Council. Through some very tumultuous times, I might add. But nonetheless, it's a great group, and if there are issues at any point that any center member feels should be addressed, to bring it to our board, or to bring it to me if you feel that it's of a national nature that should be addressed by all the centers, I can certainly bring it to the National Council for consideration. We had our meeting on the week after our last members meeting here. And one thing you should be apprised of is that there is going to be a change to the RASC website platform. It's been a long time coming. They've had a lot of challenges with it in the past, and they're moving from Drupal 7, which is what it's on now. It's at the end of its life, and according to Jenna Hines, it is in no way, shape, or form user-friendly. So it's not easy for a volunteer to add stuff or change stuff to it. but they're going to a format called WordPress. The archived materials that are on the site, they will remain on Drupal, and Drupal will be updated to Drupal 12 for that purpose. Everyone will be notified as to when the downtime on the website will be through national announcement. But if you have any questions or you have to go online to address anything regarding your membership to the RASC, that will not be affected by this change in platform. Last year, the RASC had a matching fund goal, and they reached it. They reached the 20,000. What was interesting was the campaign total. They reached $90,000 in donations from membership across the country, which of which $80,000 are unrestricted. In other words, the National Society can determine how those funds are to be used in the future. And they are certainly a lot more cautious, given past experiences, as to how those funds are to be used in terms of actual direct use as well as investment. So they are looking at all of that fun stuff. Next. Oh, so stay tuned about the about these two items. Okay, thanks. The EPO, the Education Public Outreach, they've been a really busy crew. They've changed their chair. It used to be Laurie Roach out of Victoria Centre. It's now Karim Jaffer from Montreal Centre. And he came up with a whole bunch of neat stuff coming through the EPO. Some of the older members may remember NOVA, the New Observers to Visual Observing. We used to offer it here at the center years ago. And it's a really worthwhile program for newbies to take because it introduces you to terminology and all sorts of astronomical stuff. It has been revised totally. There is a trial run that was just held, in the process of being held in Victoria Centre, and RASC Montreal Centre will be hosting one as well fairly soon. There are 12 components on various aspects of astronomy, and this program can be delivered in person or via Zoom, your choice. I mean, certainly the benefit of in person is that it then allows you to then take your students outside to potentially take them outside to observe whatever it is that you were talking about that particular week. So we're looking forward to it. Our board has been looking into it. So once we get more definitive information about the program, we'll see whether or not we can offer it here at the center. They are in the process of developing resources for student clubs at the high school and university level. I don't have a lot of detail on that, but it should be coming out shortly. The seasonal beginners observer activity, it's star hopping activities that they're going to develop. And one of the promo pieces for this was that it would be great for our star parties, right? To teach new folk that are at the star parties. Yeah.
Like years of them in that committee.
Okay.
Well, one thing, we developed the novice observing program. It almost looks like what you're describing for the seasonal beginners observing activities. And Jenna and Kareem and I have been working on that. Do you hear anything about that?
Maybe it is what they're referring to, Tony. Karim didn't mention who was developing. He didn't say which members of the committee were involved. So it might have been. I don't know if members in Zoomland, but Tony. Yeah. Tony and Kareem and who's the Jenna Hines have been working on something like what is being described as the beginners observing activity. So we'll wait and see. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, International Astronomy Day. You'll be hearing more of this probably next month, but it is on May 3rd, and it'll be centered around a larger in-person activity at the DDO, which is the David Dunlop Observatory in Toronto, in partnership with the Explore Scientific and Global Star Parties. What they're hoping to achieve is that every center that has an observatory participates in this from coast to coast. And the joy of it, as you know, with the extent of this country, it's very easy for us to show our event here, and then as it gets darker across the country, be able to extend it across the country. So they are going to encourage participation. So we'll be looking into that as to whether or not we can, given we know what our internet capability is out at SCO, but we'll figure that out. And this is a past event, just past event. This past week, EPO sponsored a workshop in Town Hall on citizen science initiatives, and it was recorded, and I'm just waiting for them to announce that folks can actually listen to what's there. It's really exciting what's going on across the country with respect to citizen science, and it's everything from students to the more experienced scientists within the RASC. Our very own, and is Jeremy Cuzzub online today? He was one of the folks that was there from our center. And he is doing a citizen science project involved in it, and regarding Aurora. So we know that there's somebody already conducting that sort of thing here at the center. There were 2 other members that attended, Karen Hamlin and Matt Dyer. So there were 4 from our center out of 41 folks. Yay, Halifax. You know, we do have good attendance at these sorts of things. So our next meeting for the National Council is not until April 15, so which means at the April 5th meeting, you won't be hearing from me on National Council. And the RASC General Assembly, the dates here are actually wrong by 1 day. It's actually April 25 to 27. So just make note of that, put that in your calendar. It is not in person again this year. It is virtual. And there will be, in fact, today's monthly RASC bulletin did talk about the GA. That's how I knew I had the date wrong, because the 26th, 27th were the dates we were given at National Council a couple of weeks ago, but they are confirmed in the monthly bulletin. And the other thing that I'd like to make note from the bulletin this morning that came out was that there's a call for nominations for the Society's Board of Directors. Apparently there are 4 positions open on the board. So if you are interested or know someone that might be interested in becoming a member of the board, go online and look at what the positions are and what the requirements are for nominations. And that's it from the National Council.
Okay, so now we come to what's up in the March sky. Okay, so this cover image of Markarian's chain is just to remind us that galaxy season is coming upon us. So Leo and Virgo are up in the sky about an hour or 2 after sunset, and lots of galaxies to observe in those
20 hours worth of exposure, you know.
This was not that long, probably 2 or 3 hours with my red cat. First slide. Okay, so days are getting longer. So we noticed that last night. Peter and I were out at York Redoubt with the young naturalists of Club of Halifax, and it was after 9 before could see the North Star to do a polar alignment. So, and by the end of the month, we're only going to have just under 8 hours of darkness. Now I also, there we are, daylight savings time, 2 a.m. March 9th. So bring your clocks ahead, unless it's banished. And equinox, vernal equinox takes place on March 20th at 6:01 a.m. So official spring. Okay, this is our sun today. There are a few small sunspot groups, nothing really dramatic. The group AR 4006 is currently the most active. It has the potential for M-class solar flares. So if any M-class flares erupt and are accompanied by coronal mass ejections, it's in a good alignment to give us some geomagnetic storms here on Earth. Now, it's not just sunspots, though. The last couple days ago, there was a filament that, quite a large filament that snapped, and it was accompanied by a coronal mass ejection. So if you go to spaceweather.com, you can keep abreast of what's happening with the sun. Next, please. The moon this month. The moon's pretty busy this month. What are the highlights here? First quarter of the maple sugar moon is on March 6th. On March 8th, the moon will be near Mars. On the 5th and the 10th, it'll be near Messier 45 and Messier 44, but not super close. So not to give you a stunning view of binoculars, but it'll still appear quite close in the night sky. Full moon on March 14th, and a total lunar eclipse on March 14th. So hopefully we'll have a clear sky to observe that. It'll be visible in its entirety from Halifax. On the 20th, the moon's near Antares, and one of the globular clusters nearby as well. Last quarter moon on the 22nd, and then at the end of the month, we have a partial solar eclipse. The new moon also on the 29th, and this is the birds laying eggs moon. And the moon is also at perigee, closest to the Earth on that date. Next, please. So these are the kind of two binocular highlights for March. So on the 8th, you can see in your Celestron Skymaster 15 by 70 binoculars, you can see how the moon and Mars are framed quite nicely in the field of view. And then on the 20th, and the reason I've got this labeled as a challenge is that you need to be up at 5 a.m. Yeah, right. Get up early or stay up all night. And you need a good horizon to the southwest. But there's the moon, Messier 4, and Antares, and a couple other deep sky objects, all in the field of view of 7 by 50 binoculars. Next, please. So now we come to the two eclipses for the month. So the total lunar eclipse will take place when the Earth comes between the sun and the moon. And you can see that we in Nova Scotia are well situated for it.
Is the moon, how close it is to the center line? Because I know the last total eclipse we had.
Yeah, we only had a penumbral. Yeah, no, it's going to be complete. Yeah. So this is what you can expect to see from start to midway. I've got some times I took this off. There's a really good website for time and dates of eclipses, timeanddate.com, and they publish these. They have a really cool. You input where you're from, and it'll give you all the details of your city. So in Halifax, now you have to stay up late for this. Okay, so stay up just before 1 a.m. and that's when it will begin, and it will end at 7 a.m. So the maximum eclipse time will be just before 4 o'clock. But if we have clear skies, a nice observing and photo opportunity. Next, please. Now, the deep partial solar eclipse. This is has been getting a fair amount of press. Unlike the eclipse last April, we're not going to see total eclipse. And the eclipse will be in progress as the sun rises. So you need a good eastern horizon. I think Tim Doucette is putting something on for folks as part of it.
But
Oh.
National has an event being held in St. Andrews, New Brunswick for this.
Okay, so Judy just said that National will be having an event in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. Yeah, I think it's Stefan Picard's Cliff Valley astronomy. It's a paid event. So from Halifax, if you go out to Point Pleasant Park or York Redoubt for sunrise, you'll see at its maximum, just over 82% of the sun's surface will be covered, and the maximum eclipse will be at 7:17 local time. Okay, I know you. What? 7:17. Yeah, York Redoubt is a really good spot to good eastern horizon, especially if you get up on the hill. I've took pictures of the last partial solar eclipse from that site in 2021. Oh, another good one. Yeah. Yep.
Just west of the sun,
Mhm.
just north.
Yeah. Yeah. Good one.
Almost.
Yeah.
To the public about how to view this at all?
We haven't put anything up yet. I think, yeah, National, I mean, everyone's got I certainly have mentioned it at some schools I've spoken at, that if the kids still have their solar safety glasses to use them. Next, please.
Dave Chapman to get on the radio and talk about it,
There you go.
To be honest, I have very mixed feelings about it. Yep. Because of the liability.
Mm. Yeah.
I told people who I gave solar eclipse glasses to, I said, keep them for next March so you can watch but unless you're prepared to go through a whole another, and it's probably too late to start, but unless you're gonna start supplying solar.
Yeah.
I'm not going there. Personally.
Yeah.
Go free.
Okay. Best views of the moon will be around time of first quarter, so March 12th to the 16th. If you're trying to tick off the boxes for the lunar observations for Explore the Universe, those are good dates for it. Next, please. The planets. So we've lost Saturn and Neptune this month. They're both too close to the sun to be visible. Mercury is really well placed for observing up until the middle of March, and its maximum eastern elongation will be 18 degrees on the 8th of March. So pretty easy to pick it out in the west after sunset. And Venus is brilliant in the sky. You can't miss it after sunset. After mid-month, it's going to disappear and then re-emerge in morning twilight, so it becomes the morning star at the end of March. Mars is still in Gemini, very close very, very visible after sunset. We were looking at it last night. The red hue was easy to see. As mentioned, close to the waxy gibbous moon on the 8th of March. Jupiter is still prominent in Taurus after sunset and is near the, oh, that's a typo. Shouldn't be there. That's from last month's regarding the gibbous moon. And Uranus is still visible at the boundary between Aries and Taurus after sunset. Next, please. Zodiacal light. Again, this is a good time to see this celestial event. If you haven't seen it yet, you need really good dark observing sight. Any time between March 21st to April 4th, just after sunset is a good time to go looking. I took this off Stellarium. It's not coming out very well on the screen, but at 9 p.m., you'll see this pillar of pyramid-shaped pillar of light in the west. Next, please. Explore the universe. So we're into the spring constellations. Ursa Minor, Ursa Major, Bootes, Leo, Virgo, and Libra. So again, tick these off if you're doing Explore the Universe. Next, please. Spring stars in these constellations are Arcturus, third brightest star, Spica, Regulus, Dubhe, Polaris, and then Denebola, Zubin el-Janubi, and Zubin es-Shamali in Libra. Okay. Interesting, Regulus is we'll see it as a double star. Next, please. Spring deep sky object. The one for this month is the Beehive Cluster, Messier 44. And to see it, look halfway between Castor and Pollux and Regulus. So binoculars will give you a nice view of the Beehive Cluster. It's quite colorful. And I always thought it referred to a swarm of bees, but apparently it's the shape of a beehive. I've never seen the beehive shape of beehive, but yeah. Well, not your beehives anyway, Peter. Next, please. Double stars for this month is Nu Draconis. It's a double star in the head of the dragon. And you'll need a telescope to split this double. But you'll see two blue-white stars quite close together in the head of the dragon. Next, please. And lastly, March is the month for Messier marathons. If anyone's wanting to stay up all night and observe or image all of the Messier objects, the nights of March 28th to the 30th are best this year for this this feat. If you go to to seds.org, you'll find a list of the Messier objects in the recommended sequence, so you can get them all. Most of these search sequences start with M77 and end with the jellyfish cluster M30. And you can see it's going to be pretty low on the horizon to the southeast, just as dawn is breaking. So that's probably one of the toughest ones to get. And next, I think that's it. So, any questions? If not, keep your fingers crossed for clear skies for both eclipses and a few other good nights. Thanks, everyone, and see you in a month's time, April 5th.